Sorry, I'm going to your.
Stacey, is that on?
I just turned it on. Thank you. You're off the hook until next game.
I don't think there's a little bit of
I don't have to say it. You can just do that. I'm not gonna say it.
All the time.
Yeah. Did you sign in, sir? Elected president.
Oh, yeah.
There's another chair here too.
I'm in charge of this door.
Yes.
Yes. No, it's fine. But I do have a question.
Yes.
And three of them just sat down. Right now.
I don't want to.
Right now.
I wouldn't either. I don't
Yeah, now.
Right.
No, it's good.
That's fine. That's fine. There are resignations of.
Okay, so it's still good.
Yes.
But once there's accepted, it really should want to do it.
Right, once it's accepted, they become quorum.
I still have my camera up all the fucking batteries in my phone. Yeah, I gotta have it short somewhere. Because it drains the battery.
Oh, really?
Okay, how are you? Yeah.
I kept it charged up. But it wasn't enough to pick it.
This morning, everything was dead. As soon as I opened the door, it because we keep
Check it out.
yeah, well, see, that's Wow. Wow.
What's your Indian blood?
Indian, African, Middle Eastern.
Unless you wanna put your right foot on that. Am I? They can't. I don't feel like it's not. She's back home.
I was rolling the ball quite a bit.
I'd like to call the meeting to order, if we can stand and do the pledge of the flag.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Stacy, will you roll call, please?
Ms. Cook? Ms. Falcone? Here. Mr. Haney?
Here.
Ms. Hassler?
Here.
And Mr. Miller?
Here. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Joan.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Right now, the council president and vice president are not present. They have announced their intention to resign, and we will deal with that next. We need, though, to first amend the agenda. Now, is it the preference of council to either elect a president pro tem just for this meeting, or to elect a council president and vice president? Do I have a motion, first of all, to amend the agenda either to elect a president pro tem or to elect a council president and vice
I
president?
make a motion to amend the agenda to elect a president and vice president at tonight's meeting.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilor Cook. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Councilor Haney. Any discussion?
Is that for not just this meeting, but moving forward?
That is moving forward, yes. All right, so we have a motion, a second, any other discussion? Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so ayes have it, all four. All right, so now I will need, now that the agenda is amended to elect a council president and vice president, which is basically a mini reorganization, the best way to put it. I will need a motion for nominating of council president. Nominations do not require a second under Robert's rules.
I nominate Dan Haney for president.
Dan Haney. Are there any other nominations? It appears there are none. Do I have a motion to close the nominations?
I'll move to close nominations.
Okay, we have a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and we need a motion to elect Dan Haney as council president. Okay, I'll call for the vote actually.
Ms. Cook?
Yes.
Ms. Falcone?
Yes.
Mr. Haney?
Yes.
Should I ask him last? It does not matter.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
You're allowed to vote for yourself.
Ms. Hassler?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so Councilor Haney is elected president. Now I'll need nominations for vice president.
I'd like to nominate Ms. Cook.
Okay, nomination of Carol Cook for vice president council. Do we have any other nominations for Vice President of Council? It appears there are none. There's a motion to close the nominations.
I'll make a motion to close it.
Motion by Councilor Haney, second.
I'll second that.
Second by Councilor Falcone. All in favor?
Aye.
And let's have a roll call vote, on Carol Cook's nomination for Vice President.
Ms. Cook,
Yes.
Ms. Falcone,
Yes.
Mr. Haney,
Yes.
Ms. Hassler.
No.
Okay, with the majority of the quorum present, the motion carries. All right, Mr. Haney, take the gavel. Okay, the next item of business would be the resignations. We can take over from here.
Okay, I do have a question.
Yes.
Once the motion is accepted, will there be a period for comment?
Yes, before any vote, there is comment that would be permitted before the vote is taken under the Sunshine Law.
Okay, I would like to ask for a motion to accept the resignations of Ethan Pulowski, Eric Stout, and Michelle Stout.
Is there a second? First of all, is there a motion?
Should they be done individually, or we can do the group?
You can do the group unless there's some reason to believe that you wouldn't accept a resignation.
I'll make a motion to accept the resignations.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right. And any discussion?
Yes, I would like to make a personal comment, if I may. Do I need to add the disclaimer on there, or just because I said it's personal?
Well, I mean, if it is a personal attack, I don't recommend it. If
No, it's not.
within the rules of civility, that's fine. We all express our opinions at this table, and that's all right.
Okay. As a taxpayer and resident, I feel compelled to make a comment. When I first came aboard the council, I had no idea how much work it was and how much personal commitment and sacrifice it takes. Over the course of the last 8 months, I've witnessed this council trying to address serious issues with our budget, our infrastructure, our roadways, all while trying to minimize the financial impact of the community. I can attest to the countless hours and enormous amount of self-sacrifice from every council member here. So much so, I can only surmise that their efforts are nothing less than an act of love for this town. I have nothing but respect and gratitude for each member of council, and to the resigning members, I would like to say that it has been my privilege to have served with them. In my opinion, the resignations are not a negative reflection of their past service to our community, rather a testament to the seemingly insurmountable challenges we're facing. I want to personally recognize and thank each of the resigning council members for their service to our town. The hours of work and self-sacrifice that they have given to our community will be the foundation of so many yet unrealized objectives. And as for me, I am forever grateful for their efforts. Thank you.
Mr. President, I would like to also say I'm very upset that we've lost Mr. and Mrs. Stout. They've done an incredible job in the amount of time they've been here, and I'm very unhappy with the loss of them. So I just wanted to make that statement
Yes,
for the record.
Okay, anything else before vote's taken?
Nope.
Okay, are you ready to call for the vote?
How do I do that?
Call for the vote on the resignations of council members Ethan Polinsky, Eric Stout, and Michelle Stout.
Okay, I'd like to call for the vote.
To accept the resignations of Mr. Pulaski, Mr. and Mrs. Stout.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries.
Okay, so the resignations have been accepted. The next item of business is that those positions need to be filled. Because right now we have a very fragile quorum of this council, so we are going to be requesting letters of interest for appointments to Borough Council. The urgency of this is that and the interviews will be held at the next meeting, which will be September 9th, 2024 at 7 p.m. So what we'll need is a motion for the manager to publicize this request for letters of interest. If there's newspaper advertising, you should specify that. If it's going to be simply on the borough's website, social media pages, and other official channels, you should also include that in the motion.
Okay, I'd like to request a motion to advertise for letters of interest with interviews being conducted on September 9th, 2024 at 7 p.m. to be advertised on our Facebook page, our website, and our message board.
Okay, but not in the newspaper, is that correct? And that's fine, you don't have to.
What do you usually do?
I believe it's usually been on the website, social media, and the message board, but not the newspaper. Newspaper advertising is not required, but some do it. It's completely a matter of council's policy.
That'll be fine. I'm pretty sure everybody in town knows it.
Everybody already knows it.
Should we have a cutoff date for when the letters can
I
be
was gonna
received?
say, can we also have a cutoff date, maybe like Thursday the 5th?
I think we've done it before, like 5 p.m. on the day that we're, like September 9th in the States.
Oh, so we're
I
gonna.
believe this
September
is
9th, the
correct, it's
date.
the day of the meeting that we allowed
Okay.
all
I'd
interested
actually like to see
letters.
them come in the day before the meeting, so that we have a chance to.
Well, it's on Monday though, so it would have to be Friday the 6th if that were the case.
Just make the motion that way.
I mean, you could cut it off at noon on the 9th maybe, and that way,
I can
the
scan and
manager
get them
can
out to
scan
council.
and email them to members of council for review.
Can we do that? Is that okay?
That's up to council.
Okay. I like that. So we
And we've
have.
got from now till then, that's a pretty good amount of time.
Yeah. True.
So I'll make a motion that we have those letters in by noon on Friday before.
Do you mean noon on the 9th or noon on Friday the 6th?
Noon on Monday the 9th.
Oh, you want it to be you don't want it to be the Friday?
Yeah, then Stacy will scan them and get them to us before the meeting.
Elaine, do you feel that's sufficient time to
Well, that's how many days?
do, that's like a few hours to do due diligence?
Yeah.
So is it Friday or Monday?
Monday the 9th.
Monday the 9th at noon. Must be received in this office. And remember that the interviews, for council members, are done in a public meeting. They are not done in executive session.
And they need to be present if they submitted their letter and they still want to be considered.
They do. They have to be present to be interviewed.
Any discussion?
You don't have a second?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Second by Councilor Hassler.
Discussion?
Excuse me?
Any discussion? Or do I just call for a vote?
I think we're going to.
Let's call for a vote.
I'd like to call for a vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Ayes have it. All right.
Hearing and visitors?
Yeah, anybody who is signed in to speak,
We did not have a separate signage sheet to
Okay,
speak this
that's
evening.
fine, so anybody,
Anybody would like to make a comment? I guess 3 minutes is the rule.
yep, this is the time to do
They
so.
stand and identify themselves and where they,
Yes, that's correct.
they raise their hand.
Nobody?
I'd like to.
Go ahead, come up.
I'm Brian Fronizer, 21 East Smith Street. I lived in town here since 1985. I ride bike around town a lot, and I've noticed there's quite a few violations of ordinances in town. And I'm just wondering why that is so. And the boroughs also has violations of itself in town. Any reason why that is? There's a boat on a street in town for over a month now with no hookup or nothing. Any reason why?
Mr. Fraunheiser, if you want to give me a list of any violations that you've observed, I'd be more than happy to review the list and contact all of those parties.
But I don't feel it's my responsibility to do that. Well, if you have ordinances, shouldn't the borough council or shouldn't somebody on the borough be enforcing?
Well, just Mr. Fronizer, ordinance enforcement is complaint-based. In some larger municipalities, they have an in-house code official whose job it is, in addition to receiving complaints, to check for violations. These services here are not done that way, they're not handled that way. The borough manager and borough employees have many tasks, so it is very much complaint driven. So if you do have a concern, such as a boat that is extending out on the sidewalk or is on the street longer than it's supposed to be, please refer to the borough manager and we will refer that for investigation to our code official.
That's fine, but I don't feel it's my responsibility to do that. So, thank you.
Okay. Any others? I guess can I get a motion? Go ahead.
I did want to ask you, so, along with these resignations comes some issues, that have to be, we have committee chairs, some of which are not here, so I guess are we going to wait until, we elect or
I think
reappoint?
we can wait for the committee chairs.
I would, right,
Just
this
want to ask
is,
about
this
if it's
is,
something that.
right, the election of a council president and vice president, for purposes of continuity, especially because of some of the sensitive issues with which we're dealing, critical issues with which we're dealing, was important and need to be dealt with right away. I think we should wait until council is at or closer to full strength before addressing the committees, because we don't know who is going to show interest in the council seats and what interests that they may have or what backgrounds they may have that may lend themselves well to certain committees. So I would recommend you wait.
Okay. I have one question. I would like to ask the council members when we can schedule an executive session.
Okay, you can have, well, if it's, for example, for labor matters such as we're handling now, or personnel matters, or other
Negotiations.
matters, or negotiate.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'd like to take that back to my office to Attorney Boland, because he asked about that. So if you could get to me some times that you're available, we'll coordinate them with Attorney Boland's calendar, and we'll
Yeah,
get an executive session.
I'd like to sit down with the council first, have a list of questions
That's fine.
To prepare for.
to prepare for Mr. Boland.
That's all the better, that makes for a much more efficient meeting.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with that. So you can have an executive session right now if you want to, since I believe we're done with hearing the visitors, so you can recess into executive session and then adjourn after executive session if you want to, or you can have an executive session and another time that's mutually convenient, whatever.
That's what I'd like to do. Another time is mutually
I would
convenient.
like it if, after we adjourn, if we could just
We can
briefly come
schedule
up
it.
with an objective so that we're prepared for our executive session, so it will be productive, so I have some things I would like to.
Right, but that is executive session though, what you're talking about. So if you wanna have an executive session after this meeting, just to talk about those kinds of questions, that's perfectly legitimate as, you know, part of labor negotiations, and you're completely entitled to do that. And then you can, I'm assuming you, because I'm not involved in the labor negotiations, you would just email me and email Attorney Boland that
Are you
list and
thinking
some available dates.
15 minutes and
I
then
think
pick a
about
date.
five minutes, just to kind of see, so we can
Carol,
all do
yeah.
what we need to be
Would you
prepared.
mind sticking around for 5
Right,
minutes?
and then you
Okay.
can, right, and then you can, and then what you can do is, you recess into executive session, have your executive session, go back into open session, and there's not gonna be any action taken. And then adjourn the meeting.
Okay.
That's the practice.
If
Well,
there's-
there's no action taken, do we have to have everybody leave and come back?
The only
No,
action.
you don't, I mean, you don't have to, you're welcome to.
I think all that we wanna do is just
Right.
come up with a date.
But,
Yeah.
We don't wanna
again,
talk about it.
right,
Exactly.
well, the practice is for executive session, you recess, have the executive session, and then adjourn. There's no need for anybody to stay there, I'm telling you, there's not going to be any official action taken. You have mine and council's word on that.
Yeah, okay, good. Being that there's no other visitors that wanna speak, let's adjourn into executive session for a few minutes.
How you doing? Good, how are you?